Hi, Year 5 students. I'm going to share with you the summary of our lessons in week 3. We had differentiated tasks where I grouped you into 3, and each group was assigned to conduct an activity which was available in your learner's book. So the first group conducted Think Like a Scientist 1 on page 6. So since this was a differentiated task, each member of the group uh, was assigned to one task. Okay. For example, for the first activity, collect a range of different flowers. Okay. I know that it wasn't possible to do this activity for the meantime because of our situation, but we tweaked the activity by just simply searching some flower images online, and you were assigned to group the flowers according to different characteristics or qualities. For example, one of you sorted or grouped the flowers according to their sizes. Another one was assigned to sort them according to colors and also according to scent. There were also some of you who were assigned to label the different parts of flowers, and also you presented your work individually. Okay. One group conducted Think Like a Scientist too, which is about observing and drawing a flower. In this particular activity, the group watched a video about dissecting a lily flower, and some of you were assigned to identify the different parts of a lily flower. Excuse me. And you gathered data by means of course, identifying the parts and functions of a lily flower and counting the numbers of parts. For example, how many petals, how many stigma, how many sepals, how many style. Although some of you were not able to complete the task, we reflected on this activity also to figure out what scientific skills we developed in this particular activity. Group 3 was tasked to plan an investigation to find out the most common colors of flowers. And we've done that by asking few students to collect images of flowers, about 20 images of flowers, to figure out and group the flowers according to their colors. One of you was assigned to do research about flowers, and two of you were assigned to uh, create a chart to show the number of flowers based on their colors. Okay, the number of flowers with red color, the number of flowers with purple colors, the number of flowers with yellow color. And from the chart, you were able to conclude that you were able to conclude the most common color of the flower. Going back to this activity, we reflected the activity uh, to find out what skills, scientific inquiry skills, you develop in each activity. For example, Think Like a Scientist 1 is an activity that helped you to develop your identifying and classifying skills. If you want to know more about the scientific inquiry skills, again, you may browse your book on the first page and you will be able to see the different scientific inquiry skills that Science Cambridge has been developing. For example, research skills, pair testing, observing over time, identifying, classifying, and pattern seeking. Okay, so going back to this activity, we develop our sorting or identifying and classifying skills. For activity 2, Think Like a Scientist 2, you also develop research skill because you need to watch a video to get information. You also observe the flower in the video, and at the same time, you uh, collect some data and tabulate it in a chart. Okay, so for the activity 2 on page 8, you actually develop your investigation skills, whereby you also gather information or data from the internet, that is a research skill, and also pattern seeking, where you are able to find out, observe, record, and analyze your data to figure out which is the most common color of the flowers. We reflected on this lesson, and most of you have mentioned that you learned a lot about flowers, about how to sort and group flowers, how to label, how to observe flowers, but you are quite confused about the parts of a flower. We shall have another activity to again identify the different parts of the flowers so that you will be able to know their parts and function, because later on we need that for our activity, next activity. We also started our 1.2 lesson about pollination, fruits and seeds. Our first activity was to be familiar with the keywords that we will use for this activity, and these are the adaptation, adapted, fertilization, fertilize, nectar, pollinate, pollination, and pollinator. So we had a sharing about what color flowers do you like best, and why do you think flowers are of different colors, which parts of a flower make pollen, and why do you think flowers need pollen. Okay. In this activity, we develop our research skills by reading this particular text. Remember that reading is developed by watching videos, by reading books, okay, by surfing the internet. So in this particular session, we read the book so that we can gather information about pollination. So we learned from this that pollination has two ways. It can be pollination by insects or pollination by wind. Okay, we learned that pollination is the movement of pollen from the stamen of a flower to the stigma of the same kind of flower. Meaning to say, in the pollination process, there are some parts of the flower that are involved in pollination, and these are the pollen from the stamen, the male part of the flower, and also the stigma, which is the female part of the flower. Pollinators are insects that help in the pollination process. Examples of insects that are called pollinators are bees and butterflies. So different insects also visit different flowers. They have their own favorite. For example, butterflies like to visit flowers that are big and have lots of nectar. Okay. Nectar is the sweet liquid. Okay. Flowers pollinated by insects are adapted to attract pollinators in the following ways. So, why are insects adapted to pollinations? Because of the following characteristics of the flowers. They are white, they have colored petals, they have scent, they produce nectar, and they have marks on the petals to guide the insect to the nectar inside the flower. Some flowers are pollinated by wind, and these flowers are adapted to this kind of pollination through their characteristics, such as petals are small and not brightly colored. They normally and basically they don't have scent or nectar, and they may make lots of smooth light pollen grains that blow away easily. So we try to compare and contrast between pollination by wind and pollination by insects. And we also did an activity where we tried to again identify the different types of flowers, and also types of flowers according to how they are pollinated. And instead of gathering flowers from our school ground, local community park, or in pictures which was written in the activity Think Like a Scientist, we watch a video about pollination by insects and pollination by wind, so that we can identify different flowers that undergo this type of pollination. We haven't completed the activity, but definitely we will continue that next week so that we'll be able to make a clear comparison between the types of flowers that are pollinated by wind and pollinated by insects. We also discussed about our homework, which I assigned to you, and it can be found in your workbook pages 3, 4, and then 5. Uh, if you want to know more about it, I already uploaded the answer scheme in the homework folder, homework number 1, and you can use that to review information and review your understanding of parts of a flower and also pollination, fruits, and seeds. That's all for this week, and I'll see you once again for the week 4 summary video.